Madam the Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Palomera,
Here.
Commissioner Baker McCormick, Commissioner Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Clemente, Commissioner Baydoun has requested an excuse. Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Chair Hattis,
Present.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item, the chair remark. I have none today. That save us a little bit of time. Move to next item.
C, approval of the January 10th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Motion would be in order.
Move to approve with any
Support.
necessary question.
Motion been made and supported. All any discussion? Hearing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose. Motion carry. Next item.
Who motioned and supported the minutes?
Kinlock moved, Palomera supported.
Next item. Please vote. Yes.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Next item.
Item 1, under new business. Requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a 3-year subrecipient contract with Southeast Michigan Community Alliance.
This item, no change in the amount. And we do have with us the SEMCA CEO, Greg Paterniak. Greg, would you like to say something? Yes, okay. Especially, but yeah.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commission. I'm Lucius Anthony, Project Manager with the Economic Development Team. As you mentioned, no change in dollar value, but we would like to add additional language to the original contract to include 2 subjects. One of the subjects is the subcontract approval. Again, upon completion of evaluation of the RFP proposals, what we would do is bring before the body here to for final approval before any funds are awarded to the subcontractor. The second section is the spending requirement, which again in November we discussed as well. We would 75% of the $50 million will go to assist disproportionately impacted COVID residents here in Wayne County between 2020 and 2021, specifically January 1st through 2020 through December 31st, 2021.
Any question?
Chairman. So through the chair to this honorable body, so these particular revisions are the revisions that this body requested. So when the original SEMCA agreement was approved by this body, there were some concerns and some suggestions made by this body with regards to amendments. And these are actually those amendments that's coming before you right now.
Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To our Commission Council, those changes included those that appeared to include those that with the subcontractors that would be hired under this contract. Or
Yes, so it was 2 revisions. One was with regards to 75% of the funding going to individuals that were residing in Wayne County during the pandemic. And then the other one was with regards to the subcontractors and them submitting that information back to this body.
satisfied that takes into account the concerns that we all had.
Yes, actually, their amendment almost mimics the language from our resolution, so I am satisfied that this addresses the concerns of the commission.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other question? A non-motion would be in order. Mr. Pattanayak, before we take the motion, you want to make any remark, introduce your guest too, and
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greg Petoniak, the CEO for SEMCA, and I have with me Dan Martinez, our Director of New Initiatives, who will be overseeing this project. Yes, these two amendments are effectuating the requests of the commission when they adopted the first agreement, and we are supportive of them. Thank you.
thank you. Any question for Mr. Pattanayak? No question, motion be in order.
Move approval.
We have a motion by Ken Lock.
I support it.
Okay, motion been made and supported. Now, please vote. Thank you. Next item,
Item 2, requesting commission approval of amendments to the program years 2020 and 2021 annual action plans that were submitted by the Charter County of Wayne to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
any question on this item? Yes. Please.
Redmond, Community Development Director.
Go ahead.
These are the, in the action plan, we had to bring back to the commission for some of the bids that came back that were higher for the city of Rockwood. This would take care of the parking lot that's going to be fixed. Also in the city of Hamtramck, there was some health safety concerns, violation that we had to address. And the city of Belleville, there was a wall retention we had to address as it relates to changing the action plan for the funds, to allocate the funds.
A question on this item from the commission. Commissioner McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the additional funds that these projects will cost, are they coming from other projects that or other communities? Okay, so these funds were available. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question is, just for point of reference, these projects have been going on for a long time. Do we have a completion date of when they will be done?
These will be done by summer,
By summer, all three of them?
end of the summer.
End of the summer. Okay, thank you so much.
Any other question? None. Please vote.
Need a motion and support.
Order.
We have a motion by Commissioner Palomero and a second by Commissioner Anderson.
Vote. Next item.
Still have to vote.
Hmm?
You have to vote.
Did. I don't know. No, I did.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Next item.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to the annual action plan for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Yours.
Okay, the city of Northville Township do not receive the 20,000 for public service. They did not submit an application. Actually, they haven't submitted an application for the last 10 years. So that 20,000 change for the city of Plymouth that we had in the city of Northfield Township went to the city of Plymouth, should have been in the city of Plymouth. There's no change in the dollar amount, just a change in the city itself. The city of Woodhaven in the city of Wyandotte, there was a change in what their request was, excuse us. So the city of Woodhaven should have only received 20,000, and the city of Wyandotte, they actually had a project that they should have received in the action plan. So this is just a correction. Mhm.
Commissioner McCormick, you're set. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A number of years, as you're aware of, a number of years ago, the process was changed and the allocations were changed. And I'd like to get, and I think if you could get it maybe for all the commissioners on the committee especially, what those changes have, results of those changes have made as far as how many communities have received the larger amount and how many are still stuck at the $20,000 allocation, because I know there's some that have not received anything.
I am in the process of completing the reconciliation of what you just asked. And I am aware of this year's funding that's coming of the communities that should be getting 100,000, at least 100,000. But it's very important that the communities, to get the funding, they need to come with an eligible project. They need to make sure that they have all their paperwork in, maps attached and everything. And we are working with the communities. We did have a training a couple of weeks ago as it relates to how to submit the application. And so we are asking the communities to make sure that they have all their documentation. But for the 2023 funding, next year's funding, I do have a list of those communities.
So we are working with them, and I think that's something that was lacking years ago before you took that position. And I think it's a great thing, because there's a lot of these communities that are smaller communities, of course, that don't have the expertise and don't have someone on staff, and providing them that assistance, I think, in making sure they know what the deadlines are and how to properly put their project forward.
We want to be fair to all the communities. But yet the communities actually have to come up with some ideas of things that also meet the eligibility requirement as far as compliance, as far as the census tract. The census tract map is very important, where you're putting or trying to do projects in your community as well. And we provided the communities with new census tract maps, which also is my understanding that the census maps will be changing sometime in May. So we will be providing them another map, so they're aware of what areas are low mod in their community.
So how do you believe that that May report that's going to be coming out on the census data, low and moderate income, how is that going to affect this year's process? Is that what you're going to be using?
Yeah, we have to identify, because when you work with the federal funds, when we set it up in the IDIS system, if we're trying to set up a project, it will not let me go no further if that census tract area is not low mod. No money can be allocated. So it stops us dead in our tracks. And that's why it's important that the communities, identify on the map what area, look at, okay, where do I want to put a park? You know, is this okay in the census tract? If it's not, it's going to kick it back and then they have to come up with something else.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Clement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you mentioned about training, and I know we've talked about this before. And when you offer that training, is it in person or is it through media, or are there packets?
We did one, this one was virtual because we were kind of pressed for time. But next year's training would definitely be in person. I like to do in person.
Okay, thank you. The reason why I'm asking is I'm going into my cities, I'm new, and I want to start asking them what they're doing. And we always want to start with our locals, and some of my cities are very small and don't have economic development people. So I need to kind of figure out how they can be best trained and work with you and vice versa. So thank you.
What happens a lot is there's been a lot of turnover in the communities with the people that we were working with before, and it changed. It seemed like it's changing quite often for whatever reason. So we have to continue to provide training.
One more question, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. So you said appropriate projects. Is there a list that these cities can look at, or where is the best place for them to kind of find appropriate projects for their communities?
On the HUD Exchange, we have a guide that we have to go by, which is called the Matrix Code, but it lists, it's quite a bit on there.
Okay. I have to do some homework. Thank you.
Senator McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, so list of projects that you just talked about, the potential list in this matrix, is that something that you can provide to us? Okay, so I'd like, because I would be interested as well in seeing what's on the list. And Redford, have they, what's going on?
Oh, they're
So
not.
I'm new to Redford.
No,
so-
that's fine.
Okay.
I believe Redford get their own CDBG money.
Okay. So, and is there a reason?
Well, I'm originally from Pontiac, and when I was in Pontiac, we received our own CDBG money because we had the number of people that qualified for us to receive our own funding. So we didn't have to go through Oakland County. The reason why Pontiac is going through Oakland County now is because emergency manager stuff, but they're trying to work to get it back. So it's the amount of people that's in your community that qualifies you to receive your own funding.
That's based on the census and low
Yes.
income.
It's like the city of Detroit, even though it's in Wayne County, city of Detroit they get their own funding. So they don't, use the Oakland, Wayne County funding.
Thank you.
Any other question? Just in short, the system, the new system, I know the system been going through a lot of changes in the past 30 years. I've been involved with those kind of funding. The community all agree on going by projects sometime instead of divide the money by what the community size or the amount they get, because some of the small community with the $20,000, they can do any project. But if you bypass them for 1 or 2 years, then you give them a $200,000 for one project, they still way ahead. So it's working good. The county went through a lot of analysis and study to change the system. And I think now it's working with the new leadership and the economic development. I hope everything going to be successful. So if there are no other question, then we call the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Palomera and a support by Commissioner Kinlock.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of an 18-month subrecipient agreement with Samaritas.
This is our regular ESG emergency shelter grant that we get every year from HUD. And so Samaritas is the subrecipient that administers funds for Wayne County.
For Commissioner McCormick.
Are the shelters that we have in Wayne County?
Samaritas, is it in Westland?
Just the one?
One that we, there's other shelters, but the one I'm familiar with is the Samaritas, which is in Westland, which may be moving to the city of Inkster.
Because didn't we just?
We're
fund-
working on a project to move them from the center that they're at over to the city of Inkster.
Right, is that the project where we just,
It's
the
under,
village, the,
no, that's a separate one. It's
Okay.
it's under the ARPA, which will be coming back before commission. The whole kit and caboodle, it'll be coming back before commission.
but the other project that you just talked about?
Freedom Village.
Right,
Yeah, Freedom Village is also under ARP funds and ARPA.
but it is considered emergency shelter or
Yes,
not?
yes.
So
yes.
those would be two
Well,
separate, we don't have it right now, but it'll be in
Right.
place.
the Freedom Village is a separate home project. The new family center, which is going to be connected to Samaritas, it's going to be a new family center in Inkster instead of Westland.
So it's two locations, basically.
Well, that's not the Freedom Village is not a homeless. It's just that you can have an opportunity, to have them.
We only have, I'm just trying to be clear as to what we have as far as a shelter. is
Shelters,
concerned. It's only
Samaritas. Yeah.
Westland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. Couple of questions there. You mentioned the new facility in Inkster that is planned. I don't believe they've broken ground yet. But do you have any timeline as to when they hope to have this project done? Because
I don't have the timeline of when it's actually going to be done. We're finishing up the action plan, waiting to get approval from HUD. Once that's done, they'll be receiving a letter saying they've been awarded this amount of money of the ARPA funds. And then they'll be receiving their other funding that they're also getting that's going to be connected to the family center. I believe they're supposed to be getting some money from the state as well. And then it'll be moving forward once that's completed, and hopefully that's going to be done in the next couple of months, and then we'll be able to move forward on it.
do you know the capacity of the new facility as compared to the Eloise property?
I know it's going to be a little bit more room. Wasn't prepared to bring that information today.
If you could pass it along, I'd appreciate it. Also, something has come up recently because with the really cold weather and that we've been experiencing some increased homelessness in our park, actually. And I'm wondering, and I know at least a few of them are homeless men. Do we have any facility? Because I think the facility at Eloise currently that Samaritas operates is only for women and children. Is there any facility or are there any plans to create a facility that men would be able to have?
I have not heard of any plans of that, but I can also check and see. I know Assad posted some warming centers and some other stuff on the internet, but I'm not familiar aware if there's any particular facility designated for men.
think that's been a problem, certainly out in western Wayne County. And I'm sure there's other areas because it seems to be the focus is on the children and the mothers, which is extremely important, but there's that other element or the other need that's out there. So if you find out, if you could pass that along.
Also, I think the Salvation Army and Middle Belt have shelter for the men. Middle Belt, yeah, the Salvation Army. Yes, I served on that board for a few years, which
What city is that in?
sure, it's in Van Born in Middle Belt, probably it's Westland or Romulus.
Romulus.
Yeah, Romulus, probably. Yeah.
Thanks for your help.
Commissioner McCormick?
Question, the capacity at the shelter, do you know what that is?
Commissioner just asked that. I'll get that information.
Oh, I thought he asked about the village, the new Freedom Village. Oh, okay. Do you know what the capacity?
It's going to be more, I believe it's going to be more than what it currently is, which I think is like 24, but I'll get that information for you.
Think the shelter is 24 or
The new one.
Okay, the village. And again, just to reconfirm or reiterate, the Westland shelter is only for women and children and, okay, no men.
Family Center.
Families.
The other question? Being none, please vote.
We have a motion by Commissioner Anderson and a support by Commissioner Palomero.
Passes. Thank you. Next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I have none.
Public comments.
Anybody in the public like to comment on anything on the Economic Development Committee agenda? We receive any email?
There are no emails.
Anybody online like to comment on the agenda of the Economic Development Committee? Seeing none, we move to next item.
Adjournment.
I expect Commissioner Palomero make the
I'd be
motion.
proud to make that motion.
Commissioner McCormick supported. All, please vote. I say an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.